Alright, this right here is a Redmi Note 11 Pro, the 4G variant. And basically, this device has two big questions around it. One, is it really a good successor to the legendary Redmi Note 10 Pro or the Pro Max? And secondly, does the 4G device actually offer more value for money over its 5G counterpart, which is the Redmi Note 11 Pro Plus? Well, we'll be answering both of those questions and a lot more in this video. This is Varun from GTR and you're watching my long-term review of the Redmi Note 11 Pro 4G. Let's get started. Alright, so kicking things off, let's start by talking about the design here. Now, essentially, it's the same evolved design as the previous Redmi Note 10 lineup. However, the big difference here is that you get a flat edge shape here. Now, if you are a fan of flat edge designs, this is as good as it gets. Personally, I don't really like them a lot. I know this is kind of inspired by Apple iPhones, but I'll be very upfront, I do not like it on my iPhone either. I prefer curves because they add a bit of more grip to the device. So this is not for me. However, if you like flat edges, then you would definitely love the design here. Now, as far as the build quality is concerned, you get glass on both front and back, and the device is rated for IP53, so that's pretty good. Now, one thing that I noticed is that the device is a little top heavy. Not by a lot, but noticeable for sure. Also, while with the topic of weight, the device has an overall weight of 202 grams. See, for an AMOLED device, that is a lot. Now, just to give you some perspective, the previous Redmi Note 10 Pro Max weighed around 192 grams. So you get 10 more grams added to this for what? I mean, it's basically the same design with flat edges. Flat edges don't add 10 grams, so I really fail to understand why is there 10 grams of difference in weight. And trust me, 10 grams might not sound a lot on paper, but when you compare it with the previous edition, or if you're just holding it, if you just look at it as an individual device, the weight definitely catches on to you. Other than that, you get a matte finish on the back, and yes, it does attract fingerprints, but because of how the light reflects off it, you won't notice them half of the time. As far as the connectivity is concerned, you get a 3.5 headphone jack with an IR blaster and a hybrid SIM card slot. Now, moving on to the display, you get a 6.67-inch Super AMOLED 120Hz display with a improved 360Hz touch sampling rate. Now, when Redmi did a briefing of this device, they said basically they took the best and made it even better. And basically it's the same panel but with just an improved touch sampling rate. You get the same peak brightness and the device's display is pretty good, quite vibrant, you can easily use it outdoors, no issues whatsoever. However, if you're going to call it taking the best and making it better, then why downgrade? And the reason why I say that is because the device does not support HDR content. Not in Netflix, not in YouTube. There's no support for HDR10 here. The Redmi Note 10 lineup actually came with HDR support. So that is a bummer. Also, speaking of bummer, while you do get 120 Hz of refresh rate and 360 Hz of touch sampling rate, those things just help you in the UI of it, the animations of UI. As far as gaming is concerned, that's not really helpful. More on that in the performance section. Now, other than that, as far as the content consumption is concerned, YouTube maxes out at 1440p, but like I said, there's no support for HDR here. Making things slightly better is the stereo setup here. The sound is pretty good and quite crisp. Now, moving on, let's talk about the cameras here. You got a 108MP primary sensor with an 8MP ultra-wide sensor, a 2MP macro sensor, and a 2MP depth sensor with a 16MP selfie shooter. Now, first off, I'm quite disappointed by the fact that Xiaomi removed that 5MP macro sensor and went with this 2MP one. It's genuinely disappointing. I mean, let's be honest, nobody cares about those 2MP macro sensors. But anyway, let's talk about the camera performance. Now, in daylight conditions, the colors here are quite vibrant and the phone does have pretty good HDR performance. However, one thing that struck to me is the fact that you get a lot of over-sharpening here. Now, Redmi devices are known for that. However, we saw much better control on previous devices. This time, however, over-sharpening is again on the higher side. Now, moving on to human shots, the skin tones are good, and even when you take portrait shots, the edge detection works very well. Switching things up to the selfie camera, and well, the shots could use some over-sharpening here. The overall results are quite smooth. Turning off the lights, and well, once again, low light performance is also another area that could be better. Now, you do get good illumination, but there is a lot of noise here that could have been handled better. Moving on, we have videos, and that is another big bummer. Like, forget 4K videos, this almost 20K device cannot even record in 60 FPS, and that is disappointing to me, considering it's supposed to be the successor of a very good camera device. So yeah, I'm not really impressed by that. Moving on, let's talk about the performance. The device comes with MIUI 13, which is good, but it comes based on Android 11, which is bad. Now you do get UFS 2.2 storage, and powering things up is the Helio G96 processor, which is a 12nm processor. Now right off the bat, the Helio G96 processor feels like a step down from the Snapdragon 732G. I mean, for the most part, the performance is the same, at least in terms of benchmarks, but there are instances, especially in the GPU department, where the 732G was a better pick. And that is basically what I was trying to explain when I said that the higher refresh rate does not really come in handy when you're gaming. See, titles like BGMI, even at smooth settings, run at 60 FPS, and that's it. And overall, the experience isn't really amazing or anything. Also, the device does heat up slightly. It's not a lot of overheating or anything like that, but yeah, the heat is definitely noticeable. Other than that, as far as day-to-day performance is concerned, obviously it's pretty good, but I mean, for a device priced at 20,000, you do expect a bit more out of it. Lastly, there's the battery, and you get a 5000 mAh battery with 67 watts of charging, easy 1.5 days of battery backup, and as far as the charging is concerned, it takes about 48 minutes to go from 0 to 100%, so no complaints there. Finally, we have the pricing. Now, the base variant is priced at Rs 18,000, but as far as I know, it's always been out of stock. And now the 8 plus 128GB is available for 20,000. Now see, here's the thing. Is this phone a proper successor to the Redmi Note 10 Pro or the Pro Max, considering it has a 108MP sensor? Well, I don't consider it one. That device was a proper trendsetter. It basically captured the market. This one is, well, not even in the same league in many ways. In many ways, it's a downgrade. The display is downgraded, considering there's no HDR support. The cameras are missing the 5MP sensor, and the processing isn't as good as it was on the 10 Pro or Pro Max. You do get faster charging speeds, so that's good, but that's about it. Now, the design is subjective. If you like flat edges, that's your call. But anyway, the bigger point is, do I blame Xiaomi for it? Well, not really. See, if you are a brand manufacturer and you have to design a phone under Rs 20,000, you have two options. Either you go with a 4G chipset and then basically offer better hardware alongside it, or you go with a more costlier 5G processor and then do some compromises. The problem with going with the first option is that chipset manufacturers aren't really focusing on 4G chipsets anyway. They are forcing brand manufacturers to use 5G processors. So if you want to go with a 4G processor, you have to use an outdated one like this. Like, once again, the G96 is not a bad processor, but it's very outdated. 12 nanometers right now is definitely outdated for a phone priced at Rs 20,000. So yeah, at the end of the day, if you compare it with the competition and the rest of the 4G and also the 5G devices that are available in the market for 20,000, the Redmi Note 11 Pro 4G is still a good buy. However, do not consider it as a successor to the Note 10 Pro is what I'm saying. And well, that was it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to let us know by pressing a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more awesome tech content. Till then, this is Vaughn from GTR, and I'll see you in the next one.